I'm going to go over the second of the 4 competitive decks that I reconstructed last year for Alice Cluster. These were all in a 2016 Summers 2016 ARG tournament. I believe that was 2016. And this is going to be a the second of the 2 Refrain decks that I reconstructed. And the other one was using Rockegg and Guinevere. This one is using a couple of Darkness resonators that I will be reading through. I'm not going to go in great detail about some of the cards in this deck because this deck video is going to be in a playlist in which the card has been already discussed in the previous video. This is the case for Reflect and Refrain. So I'm just going to show it, and you can pause and look at the card. But if you want to hear me going through the whole card, I recommend you watch the previous video in this playlist. Okay, so it's a Reflect Refrain deck, and it's got 2 of this dude, the Executioner. And what does it say? It's a 1-drop, it's a zombie, and it's got stealth. And the stealth condition, all right, when you control a darkness, so you have to have a darkness magic stone. And so I'll go through the stone base in this deck. It's got 4 Ruler's Memoria, which enters rested if you don't control a Regalia. But this deck was in an era when all the Regalia were legal, so there's tons of Regalia in this deck, and you can produce any will. So that's fantastic. This card was a lot cheaper last year when I reconstructed these decks than it is this year, which is great. And then 6 Darkness will. Okay, so that's the backbone of the deck is Darkness, a will, black will. And so you're gonna control a Darkness magic stone, and a Resonator was put into your opponent's field this turn. So your opponent cast a Resonator. That's gonna happen a lot. And then that's a stealth condition. All right, and you're gonna put it in your Shan standby. So you're gonna pay 2 to put it in your Shan standby if you want to use the stealth ability. If not, it's just a 1/3/3, and you get to do none of this. But you want to use stealth. And when this card enters your field from a Shan standby area, that means when the trigger happens, destroy target Resonator with total cost 3 or less. This is great. Your opponent casts, so it'll trigger when your opponent casts a Resonator. If that Resonator is 3 or less, you're going to sap it. That's great. There's 2 of them in the deck. So that's the main deck. Then it's got a full playset of Ryza and a full playset of Melder. And so let's just go through Ryza and Melder. They're buddies in this deck. They're, I think, the core of this deck, plus the Regalia and other things. So it also has a stealth condition. It's a 2 black, 2 darkness, 8/8. And the stealth condition, you control 4 or more magic stones. It can be anything, so that will include your Ruler's Memoria. You control a darkness magic stone, and no Resonators. Okay, so you cannot have any Resonators. This thing is in your Shan standby. You pay 2 and you put it in your Shan standby. Triggers. So but you have no Resonators. And so you play it without its mana cost when you play it as a stealth card. If you play it as a regular one, it's just a 3/8/8. But you're not going to do it. You're going to pay 2 instead of 4 in your standby. You're going to wait for the trigger. All right. Then when that trigger happens, it's going to enter your field. You'll pay 1,000 life. If you do, you tutor for a card and put it into your Shan standby area face down. Then shuffle your main deck. So you've got 4 of this and 4 of this. So you've got a lot of stealth cards you can put into your standby area. All right, but you're going to pay 1,000 life for it. It's going to cost you. Okay. So then Melder here is a zombie. You control a darkness magic stone, and your life is 2,000 or less. So you're going to be playing a rough game in here. You're going to have low life when you do these things. When this card enters your field, target Resonator gains -4/-4 for each Resonator with stealth you control. So you're going to be taking out your opponent's Resonators with this card. Okay. Then the deck has 2 Levitines. And as I read this card, I'm trying to understand it more. I'm not a Force of Will player, more a collector. It looks like I would use it to protect my ruler, because when you banish it, your J ruler gains imperishable, and you're on Reflect Refrain. And I could also use it, you discard another Levitine, not this one, and you get 1 red mana, red will. That's not bad. Or you can banish another Resonator. You can untap it again. You can recover it. But the fact that your J ruler gains swiftness for Reflect Refrain, I think, means nothing. Then the horn, and I've discussed it in the previous video. I think the reason why this card is here is because you want to take your opponent down to 0 magic stones. I think that's why it's here, and it's probably why it's banned. Okay, then the orb, it's got a full playset of them. It's about putting counters on Reflect Refrain, because you're going to be putting a magic counter on it when you tap it, and removing them to recover it, because when you turn it into a J ruler, you can keep tapping and doing good things with it. And then with 1 will, you can use 2 of the counters to draw a card. This card is also banned right now from Wanderer. This guy I discussed in the previous video. I'm just going to name him Blood Boil. Same with this card, the last drop. One of them. I also mentioned Wind Secluded Refuge. Okay, and draws you cards, counters spell. That's why you want it. And then 2 of Space-Time Anomaly. It's got Remnant, which is like Flashback and Magic. You can play it from your graveyard. You may play this card from your graveyard. If you do, remove it from the game. Yeah, that's just like Flashback. And target J Resonator gains -5/-5, and you draw a card. So it saps a medium to small critter, and you draw a card. Black Moonbeam, 2 of them, requires no introduction. I discussed it in the previous video. Then 2 of Lapis Dark Storm. Your opponent discards a card at random, then discards a card. Is this just like that Yu-Gi-Oh card that's banned from Magic Ruler, now Spell Ruler? The Dynamic Duo, I forget what it's called. That's pretty beastly for 2 will. I mean, they discard something at random and then they discard something. Wow, that's great. Then we have 4 Endless Night. Destroy target Resonator your opponent controls. Then all Resonators, that includes yours, gain -2/-2. Oh, there's only 1. I'm sorry. There's only 1 of that. And then there's 3 Soul Hunts. Yeah, I was doing something wrong. Yeah, 3 Soul Hunts. Each player banishes a Resonator. Then each player discards a card. That includes you. So you got to give something. But if you don't have any Resonators, it doesn't matter. Okay. And then playset of Scorn of Dark Alice. Great card. Look at target opponent's hand and choose a Resonator. They discard that card. Enough said. Great card. Then 4 Barrier of Shadows, which really is good in Regalia and anti-Regalia decks, such as this one. Okay, so that is the main deck, and I already discussed the will section. Now I'm going to discuss the sideboard. I already discussed Death Scythe in the previous video, so I'll just say it's got 1. Then it's got 2 of a Hera, Goddess of Jealousy. And when this card enters your field, you may destroy target Regalia with total cost 0 if you do draw a card. That's fantastic. In this deck, in this environment, these days a lot of the 0 cost Regalia are banned, but at the time they weren't. Then Interdimensional Escape, one of the few cards in Battle for Attractia that are in this selection of 4 decks. Each player chooses a Resonator they control, then each player banishes all other Resonators they control. So this is like a balance from Magic, but only for Resonators, for critters. Okay. 2 more Endless Night. Then 2 more Wind Secluded Refuge. the rest of the playset for the Executioner. Then one of this 1-drop fairy. Banish this card, destroy target addition or card in a chance standby area. Good. Then Gathering of Fairies, you gain 1,000 life. So because I think you're taking yourself down to low life to play your combo, then after you're done with that, you may want to go back a little more. So there's 2 of these. And then 2 more of Lapis's Dark Storm. And that's the deck.